episode of The Tapestry. I'm Dr. Francois Booker Drew, and I am once again elated to be here with you to share stories of amazing women that I have just been so fortunate to cross paths with. And so today you're going to learn from another amazing guest who I am so thankful that she said yes. Mona Kafeel is the interim director for an organization that you need to be aware of. It's Texas Muslim Women's Foundation. And so Mona has spent her life and career being a change agent and a change maker. As interim executive director of Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, she empowers women and their families through multifaceted programs. She is instrumental in creating domestic violence shelters that are trauma informed and culturally specific. Her intensive work with the grassroots community has led to her serving on multiple advisory boards, including the Asian Advisory Committee to the Congresswomen Eddie Bernice Johnson, Public Policy Commission on the Texas Council of Family Violence, and she serves on the Senior Advisory Board for Senior Citizens to the Mayor of the City of Plano. She has led youth initiatives in high schools across Dallas, Texas, to educate and prevent teen violence. She was awarded Education Mentor by the City of Plano for her work, and she is the alumni of America Muslim Civic Leadership Institute at USC. Mona has done so much more, so this is just a really small glimpse into the amazing work that she does every day to make a difference in our community. And so, Mona, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Francois. Thank you for having me here. And it seems like whoever you're talking about keeps herself out of trouble.
If you're in trouble, Mona, it's good trouble, and that's what all of us are trying to do, is make sure that we're in the good fight and doing things that make our world a better place. And you definitely do that every single day. You know, we have known each other for a really long time, and it started with us doing a site visit with Texas Women's Foundation, looking at how we award funding to organizations that serve women and girls. And so I have been blessed to get to know Texas Muslim Women's Foundation and the great work that you do. But tell the audience what you do at Texas Muslim Women's Foundation and why this work is so important.
Would love to share. Absolutely would love to share. So, Francois, Texas Muslim Women's Foundation is an organization where we serve victims of domestic violence, and I would say family violence. And currently our services are, we have 2 shelters, and we have 27 housing apartments. We have refugee program, and then we also have youth and young professional programs. And in this community, the Muslim woman is a very important identity for the community we serve, and also from the founders, why this was named after a Muslim women, even though the organization is open nationwide and it is open to all faiths, all cultures. And that's our essential services that we provide.
And I know that when you all were getting ready to do the shelter, I had the pleasure of being able to see the work in action. And I know that you have to be so mindful of where you place people just because of xenophobia. And we know that it's real, that we've seen an increase in violence due to race and religion. Talk about what has it been like being Muslim in this country, and for people to really get a glimpse into what is it like to be a woman and Muslim in this country.
I think we can talk on this subject for many days because it's not a simple answer for sure.
Yes.
But being a Muslim and a woman, I think it's a very clear differentiation between pre-9/11 and post-9/11. There is a major, major difference between the two. Before 9/11, Muslim community was nowhere to be seen. It was do your work, be good human beings, come back to home, work, soccer mom, and that's it. nothing in the community, because I think the first generation, second generation immigrants were so afraid of losing their identity and culture. So, it was more of keeping your values within your own faith communities, not meeting people. And you are a fan of Robert Putnam, social
Yes.
scientist,
Yes.
and his research said that apart from Hindus, Muslims were also on the top of the list, where there are less than half of America who have never interacted with a Muslim person, whether it is work or school or neighborhood. And that had a major effect after 9/11, because when the media started portraying what a Muslim should or is look like, people like me, people like many other Muslims here were shocked that this is not the image what is being portrayed on the media. Media is so tricky. They have the narrative, and I think across the board with Muslim women, they wanted to have their own narrative and not the media to control. And so many Muslim women started to come into public spotlight, creating nonprofits, creating interfaith conversations, going into public offices and telling who they are. So each one of us actually thought this was our life's mission, to tell people who we are. We started interacting with our neighbors. We were so shy to move into our neighborhood, the neighborhood associations. So that really had a major effect. It was, for America, the trajectory changed, and so did it with Muslim women living in America post 9/11. We had to change our trajectories. We were not the ones sitting comfortably in our homes and not worried about our image. That changed after 9/11, for good or for bad. I would say, I always say good, because that gave us the opportunity to meet new people and have our own growth at the same time. Whenever you meet different people who are different, who have different values, who look different, you sit with them and have a conversation. You humanize people. So that,
Exactly.
right. So that is a Muslim woman's image and the story, a very brief story, that we had to change our gears after 9/11. We truly have.
And you brought up one of my favorite people is Robert Putnam,
Mhm.
because my research is around social capital, and he's done so much in this space and looking at diverse communities, especially when it comes to faith. And one of the things that we know is that when people are isolated and they stay in groups that are homogeneous, that they miss out on so much perspective and information. And you were a part of my research group, and I
Mhm.
learned so much about some of the issues that the African American community has is very similar to the Muslim community, in that there are issues around colorism, and there are
Mhm.
issues around assimilating. Talk about some of the challenges that people that are coming from immigrant backgrounds also face in trying to not only go mainstream and fit into mainstream, but also in trying to stay part of the culture and balancing those two.
It really is. You actually see the strength when you follow some of these families who are first generation, who are immigrants, who have moved here because of them being refugees. When you hone in into the first generation immigrants and refugees, there is one thing which is very clear amongst all of them. They had to leave their roots, they had to leave their country, they had to leave their family ties, mainly because of the instability in their own countries. A lot of them left because of violence, a lot of them left because there were no growth opportunities. So when these refugees and immigrants move here, they are ready to pull up their sleeves and do hard work, because when they were doing that in their country, it was leading them nowhere. So these people are the most hard-working people that you will ever come across. And another reason is they all understand the value of education, the value of money, being financially secure. In refugee, when you go into refugees and their population, um, there are people who are so educated in, and they were educated in their own countries. They were doctors or engineers, and when they come here, they have to start from maybe being janitors or washing, so far off from their own career path that the trauma hits them. It hits them that where they were in their own country and how they have to start from the beginning. And that is a huge trauma. And I use the word trauma because our agency is a trauma informed agency, which means that we understand the other person's trauma. And there are many traumas. That's another conversation. There are so many types of traumas. These people, when they come here, they've gone through political, personal, and many other traumas. So when we give them only 30 days to assimilate, that is adding a layer of trauma. The settlement agencies are adding. Now they have to come to a country, leaving, literally moving in here only with 2 suitcases and learning language, the new system, the new way of thinking. And resettlement agency gives you 90-day support.
Wow.
So just imagine you today, you have to move to somewhere in the other part of the world and you're given 30 days or 90 days. What will you do with the language only? So there's so much trauma with first generation immigrants that we have to deal with. And that is one of the reasons why TMWF and our services are important. First thing, I'll tell you the easiest thing is understanding trauma in their own language. So we have 15 plus languages in our agency that are being spoken. So anyone who comes from a different country, their trauma is lessened when they speak in their own language to somebody who is here. They build immediate relationship and they're allies. So language and the culture is so important for them to release and not relive the trauma. I can go on for sorry.
No, but it's important for people to know this. And I'm saying, no, please, because I think people look at folks, oh, these are people who are just coming over and they have all these stereotypes and ideas that are so unrealistic because they're not in proximity to being able to see it. And I've been so blessed to have that with you. So I'm glad that you're bringing this up. Share more about what are things that we can do to make that experience better for people, and how do we create more proximal relationships so that we see that we actually have more in common than we do different.
I'll tell you, Francois, I followed today. I discovered this lady. She's a filmmaker, and her name is Dia, and she is from Europe. And I was listening to her interview, one of her interviews, and she said that the first thing we all need to learn is listen